Hey, what's going on everybody? Ninja here, and today we're back at it again with another video. Now today's video we're going to be talking about One Piece. And if you guys didn't remember my last One Piece video, I basically talked about my favorite moments from the Arlong Park arc, which was pretty much the first major arc of the series. And since that video was a lot of fun to do, I decided to do another video similar to that, but this time it's going to be talking about my favorite moments from the next major arc, Alabasta. There were a lot of good moments from episodes 91 through 130, which is what this video is going to be basically out for, and they're too good not to be talked about. So that's what this video is for. But in this video, I am not alone, as I am joined by Dr. Blick, the darkest man around. Say what's up, man.
Yo, what is good, my people? It is your UK chocolate brother, Dr. Blick, the darkest man around, and thanks for having me on your channel, man.
Thank you for coming. And the way this is going to work is I'll give some of my picks, and Blick will kind of add on to the points, and even share some of his own, so yeah. The first moment that I have in mind is pretty much the appearance of Ace. This guy had one of the slickest entrances that I've seen in One Piece. When we see this guy, he seems very mysterious. He spots the black hat and long coat, not really showing much of his facial features or appearance in general, but then the two village men state a basic idea of this mysterious guy. Someone set out to hunt for Blackbeard, which is kind of vague but intriguing as it's what's going to come in the near future. And then when he's informed that Blackbeard had already left, this mysterious figure states that if they've seen a Straw Hat, this is obviously telling the viewers that this is Luffy, and that he must meet up in Alabasta in like 10 days. He also says that his name is Ace, and if Luffy is told his name, he'll recognize it. This shows that this mysterious Ace we're just now seeing has a relation to Luffy that we know. The reason it's on this list is it's one of the best because it's our introduction to this character who would have a great impact of this series. Is Luffy is the main character's freaking brother, and it's an interesting, like, creative entrance to the character rather than just explicitly stating. It's a nice way to just slide it in. So that was a weird phrase, but Blake, thoughts on that?
So when it comes to Ace's entrance to the series, one of the great things about it is the mystery behind it, because when you look at the entrance of Ace, you see how this guy could have been so many different types of characters. He could have been like the pirate hunter, kind of like what Zorro was, with the way he was saying that he was looking for Blackbeard and looking for Luffy. So the mystery behind him is what made his character really interesting. And then we find out that he is Luffy's brother. Like, seeing all of that and seeing the relationship between him and Luffy was pretty cool, and the way him and Luffy encountered with Luffy freaking flying into the freaking like store with the freaking
Smoker and stuff.
Yeah, knocking Ace out while Ace was eating, and then the whole comedy element of Ace with him eating and then falling asleep while eating, everybody thinking he's dead. I love that moment as well. So seeing Ace's character and seeing the diverse ways he acts, and seeing how strong he is as well when he was fighting against Smoker and all these other people, seeing that was pretty dope and cool. And then you also get to see how dangerous Ace really was as a character, and see how he's after this guy called Blackbeard.
Yeah.
And at that point of the series is great foreshadowing, and it's great to see Oda introduce a character with Ace in such an impactful and mysterious way.
Yeah, basically. So, the next moment that I have on my list is Crocodile's first showcase against Luffy. Now, we've already known about this Warlord Crocodile's sand manipulation type devil fruit, and how powerful this guy really was. But that was only the tip of the iceberg, as in his first fight with Luffy here, this is where he showcases his ruthless and sneaky fighting style. It's a one-sided fight with Luffy going in with an ambitious attitude to defeat this jerk, but Crocodile is not amused and ultimately bodies Luffy. Luffy's frustration can really be seen in the way he's fighting as well, but it proves no match against this monster Crocodile's defensive yet deadly fighting style, and Crocodile ultimately defeats Luffy in his first encounter in such a savage way of stabbing him simply with his hook hand. I also forgot to mention that when the stabbing does occur, the music pretty much stops and Crocodile's voice becomes more monotone, pretty much telling Luffy, yeah, you shouldn't mess with me because do you know who I am? It's such a great scene, and I do definitely like the second encounter as well, and like third encounter with, like, you know, Crocodile, his weakness being revealed with Crocodile, like, he absorbs the water out of Luffy's body, but like when the water's not in someone's body, it's actually weakening the Crocodile, and it's kind of an interesting weakness, but it's also like really basic if you think about it. But out of all of them, I like this one because it showed the mystery of Crocodile and all his power, like, unleashed and everything. So, yeah, thoughts, Blake?
So when it comes down to Luffy versus Crocodile, one of the great things is this is the first time you really see Luffy struggle, because before then Luffy was pretty much fighting people, for the most part it was straightforward. It was pretty simple compared to the step they had to take when fighting Crocodile. this fight made him more so think of how he's gonna beat Crocodile regarding using water, or even like in the final fight's case, using his blood. It really makes you think of what Luffy needs to do in terms of strategy to beat Crocodile. Like there was a massive learning curve with Luffy versus Crocodile for Luffy as a fighter and as a guy trying to be Pirate King. And then on top of that, it was all about the motivation and the drive that Luffy had in order to beat Crocodile. But as a whole, it was a massive step up. The first real guy he fought in the New World, and also the first warlord he took down in One Piece.
The next moment that I'm going to be talking about is something that was similar in the Arlong Park arc, where all the the Straw Hats were pretty much going up against Arlong's crew and whatnot. This moment right here is similar, but it's also quite unique at the same time. It's going to be pretty much the Straw Hats versus some Baroque Works members. There were, I would say, now compared to Arlong Park's ones, I liked all of them, but it feels like some were better than others, some were kind of dumbed down. But for this one, every single fight was like extremely well done, very impactful and everything like that. And there's so much to talk about, so this is going to be a long one. Let's start with Zorro versus Mr. 1. This is quite an entertaining struggle for Zorro, as he's having to cut through this steel man who seems nearly impossible. He's getting beat down with not a clue on how to defeat his enemy, but what I like about this is that it shows Zorro's insane durability and how he's still alive even after this brutal beatdown. But then he gets a flashback of being told some vital information by Koshiro, his mentor. He pretty much says swordsmen have a definitive control and can cut through steel, yet manage not to cut paper. It was all about control, and that flashback really did change the outcome of the fight drastically, as Zorro manages to slice him, dice him, and dang, was that cool.
So when it comes down to Zorro versus Mr. 1, the thing I loved about the fight was the tempo of the fight in terms of the speed. And like you said, the backstory, Zorro learning stuff, actually thinking back to what what's his name? What his teacher told him.
Koshiro.
Koshiro. I can't remember that name because it's so a long time since we actually heard that guy since where I am. Yeah, but seeing that was pretty cool because it really shows Zorro's learning curve and shows him developing as a swordsman and him getting closer and closer to actually being like towards Mihawk level. Obviously, he's far away, but it's a learning curve, something that he needed to overcome in order to be in order to get to the level that Mihawk's on. And another thing I love is the durability, like you said, and the unique style of Mr. 1. Like a guy that's arms are literally like freaking blades, and like that was pretty cool. And seeing Zorro's durability and everything was cool, and the final slash and the way the blood spluttered up and everything, that was dope as well. It was nice to see that, you know what I mean? It was really nice.
Yeah. Sanji versus Bon Clay. No, there's not much like meaning and plot behind this as much, but there is still some things that make it interesting. Bon Clay is kind of going back and forth with Sanji's weakness, Nami, to distract him and win the fight basically. This puts Sanji on the back for a little bit, but he figures out Bon really just needs to go to his regular form, and then it'll be easier. After he does this, we get an epically animated fight by Toei, which is so well done and flows so well. Easily one of the best animated fights of this arc. It ends with Sanji winning ultimately. Nami versus Miss Doublefinger. It seems like Nami is going to strongly lose against this Baroque Works member, considering she can't fight very well and the weapons she has to attack and defend herself with are just miscellaneous party objects by Usopp. But she does definitely use these to her advantage by using her brains and strategy to trick Miss Doublefinger into defeating herself. Quite a fascinating and unique fight that more so relied on unexpected strategy rather than just like fists and kicks and whatever. Usopp and Chopper versus Mr. 4, his dog, and Miss Merry Christmas. Now this battle wasn't really in Chopper and Usopp's favor. They got destroyed and beaten pretty easily, but there is one line that Usopp says which is quite powerful. Pretty much he replies to what Merry Christmas said about Luffy being dead and how Luffy will become the next Pirate King, and a man never lets his friend's dreams be laughed at and must fight for it no matter what. This scene really does show his friendship and all the Straw Hats' friendship towards Luffy and how they all have like a trustworthy bond with their captain and all. Chopper and Usopp do end up beating the two in a unique way, but I think it was that one line making this whole moment worth it. So, Blick, what are your thoughts on all these three moments?
Okay, so when it comes down to like the Sanji fight, that fight was amazing. The fact that it was just kicks strictly, and the fact that it had comedy elements in it with what's his name, with Mr. 1 or Bon Clay or Mr. 2, I mean, or Bon Clay like flashing in and out of Nami. That part was so funny to me. Like I really enjoyed like seeing that part, like like thinking about it's actually kind of making me laugh. Like watching that was actually dope to see, and seeing Sanji overcome it and seeing the way Sanji beat him, because we know that Bon Clay wasn't really bad. He was just following orders. He was doing what he was meant to do. Because before that, we thought Bon Clay and Luffy were like cool. They were buddies. They were homies. And then to see the look on Bon Clay's face when he found out that they were the enemy, that was sad. So going into the fight, there was a lot of build up, and seeing Sanji still getting like conflicted with Bon Clay and his ability to change into people. That part was great. The fight was good, and it had a lot of variety in terms of what was happening, especially the fight which was based around kicks. But when it comes to Nami's fight, that fight was straight out comedy in the beginning. Like you see all the instructions from Usopp and everything. Nami getting triggered by them. So some of the stuff that she was doing not working. That part was funny to me. I really liked that. But in terms of my opinion on the fight, it was great. But like, if you're watching One Piece and you're Nami fan, bro, there's more to come for Nami. Yeah. That fight was just the outline of what Nami's abilities will eventually evolve into in the future of One Piece. When it comes down to Usopp, Usopp and Chopper, bro, that was amazing. That was amazing in terms of the comedy aspect. Like, even for a second, when I was seeing that for the first time, Usopp had me fooled when he was lifting up that blow up hammer. Yeah. I was like, wait, is this actually, like, how is he doing this? And then I realized it was a blow up one, and they got scared, and Usopp breaking his nose, getting battered, like Chopper getting his doctor's kit, like.
Oh my god.
That was funny. Like, Usopp is always a entertaining guy, brings entertainment. A lot of people do not like him. Like, a lot of people did not like him at this point in the series. But trust me, if you're going forward, there's a lot of development to do with Usopp. Usopp's a great-ass character. Someone that I really like in One Piece. And seeing that fight, it was good. Like, all the fights that we've mentioned have a lot of variety. They have their own strong points and they have their own weak points compared to the others. But in terms of them being different and unique, it fulfilled that aspect amazingly. Like, different stuff happening, different use of their abilities, different style. It's cool. Like, I really love that. That's one of the great things about One Piece as a whole. But yeah, that's my thoughts on them free fights.
Exactly, man. Like, I totally agree and whatnot. But the next moment that we have on our list, like, we've been talking about these like funny moments, these, you know, like these action moments or whatever. But this moment right here is more like a building towards relationships type moment, and it's going to be the Straw Hats' farewell to Vivi. Similar to what went on in the scene in Arlong where Luffy calls Nami his friend, or Nakama if you're watching Japanese. The Straw Hats say goodbye to their companion and friend Vivi. She ultimately tells them that she can't come because she has to take care of Alabasta because it's been like damaged really badly after this war and whatnot. So she has to like help to rebuild it. And she's really upset at this and feels quite guilty and apologetic at everyone. She asks if they ever meet up again, and she's crying really hard at this and even a little upset about it as well. And, you know, no words are said, obviously, but because, you know, here's the thing, the Straw Hats, they were kind of they had to kind of hide from the Marines because the Marines are kind of out to get them and whatever, so they couldn't like yell out or anything. Like, Luffy was about to yell at something like, Nami, like, Vivi, you are our friend, but, you know, Nami stopped him. But what they did instead was just as powerful, if not more powerful. They all if you remember earlier in this arc, they all, to symbolize that they're all, like, you know, the Straw Hats and whatever, in case something went wrong, like if there was an imposter, they all kind of like tattooed an X on their wrists to show, like, if Bon Clay, you know, showed up and tried to impersonate him, he wouldn't have the X on his wrist. But what all the Straw Hats do, they put their fists in the air, put their backs towards Vivi, and all show the X, showing even though she's not going to be physically there with the Straw Hats, she's going to be there in their hearts. And she puts, you know, her hand in the air as well, and this really is just a touching, emotional moment right there.
When it comes to my thoughts for this, Lord have mercy. Like, at that point, a lot of people, and I have a friend, that didn't want Vivi to join the crew, so he was happy about this. But me, I can see why she didn't, and I wasn't really keen on her joining. Obviously, I wouldn't mind, but she doesn't really offer anything towards the crew. But seeing the moment that they did, like, that's one of the iconic moments, like, in One Piece. And if you're going on down the line, that appears in the intro for one of the One Piece
opening
intros
10,
in the future.
yeah,
it appears in one of the intros. So seeing that's a big moment. And if you like Vivi, there's more to come for her in the future. That was a sign that that Vivi and the Straw Hats could later on unite, which I'm sure they will. And yeah, there's not really a lot that I have to say. You pretty much covered everything when it comes to that moment. Yeah, like that's pretty much my thoughts on the Vivi moment.
And I forgot to mention this right here, but I like the fact that after they do this, they play "We Are," which is just like, it's one of the most. It's at this point, like, I understand some people at the beginning may not like "We Are," but once you get growing like an attachment to this show, you love that theme, and whenever it plays, you know, something's like, it's like a happy moment and everything like that. So I like that little thing they added. But the next moment that I'm gonna have on my list is it's kind of funny because that last moment was like very emotional. So this moment right here is quite suspenseful. It's going to be pretty much the last 4 minutes before the bomb and Alabasta's eventual doom. Yeah, this moment kept me on the edge of my seat, and I think a lot of One Piece fans can say the same. After the Straw Hats search relentlessly for the bomb that will literally destroy Alabasta while Luffy's fighting Crocodile, the stakes are high on this. Vivi finally thinks of a good enough place to find it, the bomb. The clock tower where she went when she was younger with her friends like Koza and whatnot. They use teamwork to their advantage, and Vivi has to try to get up to there as quickly as possible. And I do like the music that they're playing with this. I don't remember the exact track, but it adds to the intensity of this scene. Everything's going like, it's very like, it's to the point where it's outside, it's fast paced, but it's like slowed down so we can see like the whole gist of it. And every single Straw Hat does not have like one bit of pointlessness. Every single Straw Hat contributes to Vivi getting to the top of the tower, and at the very top we see some Baroque's Works members, which are like, oh no, all hopes are lost and whatever. But luckily they get stopped, and when Vivi does locate the bomb, it turns out there's another one, which is just like, oh no, you might as well just kiss Alabasta goodbye. But then it all seems like it's gonna go to waste until Pell comes out of nowhere. You know, the Falcon guy who's kind of like guardian of Alabasta and whatnot. He makes a heroic reappearance and gets the bomb away from the city, sort of sacrificing himself in the process. It's such like a heroic and emotional, like it's an out of the nowhere moment. Like you would have never saw it coming, and it's actually good writing because, you know, he was still alive, he wasn't like too damaged or anything. And he gets it far enough in the sky to where it won't hit anyone in the Alabasta, but it will hit himself. And that would have been great if he just died off as is. But then again, you know, he didn't die. It was like revealed laterwards, like I think it was next episode or something like that, where he was alive. He was in the hospital. They don't really explain it that well. But some people have, like I think Tekking 101 made a good theory about it, how he survived. But either way, great scene right there. Thoughts, Blake?
My initial reaction to Pell being alive was bullshit.
Agreed.
I was like, when I saw him alive, and then I was like, what? Because the way he was alive, yeah, the way they did it, yeah, this man, like, it was all emotional. Vivi was upset. Everyone was shocked. Everything slowed down. You see it explode. Like, they made it seem like he died, and then at the end, you just see this man chilling, laughing. Like, I was just like, bro, I was like, what?
He's just like, oh, I didn't see you there.
I was like, how? How did he do that? Like, like, that was my initial reaction. Well, other than that, if you were to cut that scene alone, like the overall impact of that scene that it had at the time was really emotional, because you see how Pell was in Vivi's backstory and how important he was to Vivi and how much of an important character he was to people of Alabasta. Like, you see that a lot in the backstory, so you can kind of feel why Vivi was like crying and all the emotion that was happening within that part. But other than that, it was a sad moment until you watch on afterwards and see that he was alive, and yeah.
And yeah, so let's not talk about that here. But the last thing on my list before you talk about some of yours was earlier in the arc. It was like episode 104 or something like that. It was Luffy and Vivi's argument. As the Straw Hats walk to Kateria, we see that Luffy tells them not to worry about the rebellion and whatnot. He just says all that matters is defeating Crocodile, and stopping the rebellion won't get rid of this horrible warlord. And he also mentions that people are going to die either way, so Vivi's just going to have to get over it. It's shown that Vivi doesn't want to see this, and she gets a little triggered at the captain's statement. The two get into a physical and verbal quarrel, which is just like I don't know, it's surprisingly well animated, but like every slap that Vivi makes is quite impactful. Like, okay, it's different than just like a villain giving you a punch. When it's one of your own friends giving you the slap, yeah, that's like really like emotion. It's more, in some ways, it's more painful than getting slapped by your friend than your enemy. And it's basically, they both say a bunch of like counter arguments for each other, like, the people of Alabasta don't deserve this, they've done nothing, and then Luffy counters with like, so it's only okay if you die, and much more. And it's revealed that, you know, Vivi doesn't want to put anyone else's life on the line other than her own, because of how selfless she is. And while this does add to, you know, her selfless personality, showing she's a good person, this also kind of shows she doesn't have 100% faith in the Straw Hats, you know? If she did have 100% trust, she would risk their lives on the line as well. And this is kind of where Luffy gets upset. Luffy gets one last angry statement saying, if you're gonna put someone else's life on the line, at least do it to us, because we're your friends. And as soon as Luffy says this, like, Vivi's in the midway of her slap, but then she just stops, thinks about it for like a solid 10 seconds, there's silence, and then she starts crying. And after, I think this moment really did cause Vivi to gain some trust in the Straw Hats, because she knows, you know what, these guys, they're willing to risk their lives, so I should probably trust them. And without this moment, the ending probably wouldn't have been the same, and Vivi wouldn't have the same amount of trust or respect or whatever as she did for Luffy. Because even though, you know, they had a few punches and probably still some scars and whatever, you know, after this, their relationship began to build up more and more, and it was a really, really impactful scene. So that's Blick.
My thoughts, bro. When I first saw Luffy punch Vivi, I was like, this man being Chris Brown. I was like, this man trying to Chris Brown Vivi, bro. Like, seeing that, I was like, the hell? Like, Luffy? Because seeing this moment, people don't understand how big this moment is. Like, when it comes to situations like this, Luffy always knows the right way to handle things. He always knows the right way to handle things. He may joke around, he may play games all the time, but he always knows the right way to handle things, and he always knows the right ways to get the message to the person. Like, every time he's been in that situation, he always does the right thing, gets the emotional factor by doing the right thing, and he also makes the person actually feel what he's feeling by doing what he's trying to do at that moment in time. Like, wow. Like, seeing that scene, it really shows what Luffy's like as a character, and it shows like how he handles certain situations. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's just pretty much all summarizing my picks, but here's where you come in. Like, I want you to talk about like some of your favorite moments that we already kind of talked about, like, off air and stuff. So what's the first one that comes to mind for you?
Okay, the first one that comes to mind is the introduction of Nico Robin to the crew, because one of the great things about this moment is the fact that Nico Robin was someone that was seen as a bad character, and then you see her double cross, like try and turn against Crocodile, somewhat fell, and then she says Luffy saves her. So she said that she had literally nowhere to go, and everyone's kind of iffy about her joining, and she said, I have nowhere to go. And then you see that comedy moment with Sanji and Luffy when she says like, Luffy, don't you remember what you did to me? And then Sanji's like, what did you do to like, that moment was funny, and it was nice to see. Like, the whole interaction with the Straw Hats is always amazing. Like out of any group of characters, the Straw Hats probably have one of the best interactions I've seen in anime or manga, depending on how you're going through this arc. But as a whole, it was a great introduction, and plus it was a key moment because there's another crew member to the Straw Hats. And another moment I like is seeing her Devil Fruit on Showcase, because like seeing the way she uses it, it looked OP as hell. But when you actually see the logistics of it, you realize that Devil Fruit has its pros and cons, but it's still pretty useful. And knowing that she's an archaeologist and one of the only people that can read the poneglyphs, that is key in terms of uncovering the secrets regarding to them getting closer to finding the One Piece. So having someone like Nico Robin, smarts and brains on the crew is very important. And yeah, like, her addition to the crew was very much needed. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say on that part.
About Vivi's backstory as well.
That backstory was it was good. Vivi's backstory was really good. I actually really Vivi's backstory. At some parts it kind of felt a bit but seeing the relationship between Vivi and the people of Alabasta, and how she would fight, get into fights, get beaten up and stuff like that, and actually earn the respect of people in Alabasta, even when they tried to kidnap Vivi, the way that all these people came together and try and fight against Vivi, And then how her and her friend, what's his name again? I can't remember his name, low key.
Oh, Koza.
Yeah. Like seeing their relationship and seeing how like they were moving on to the other side to make sure that everything on the other side of Alabasta was all good through that drought and everything. But seeing all those stuff like Vivi's backstory, seeing what she was like when she was younger, seeing how close and connected she was to the people of Alabasta, it kind of paints the picture to the people why she really cares about these people so much, because she had a very strong connection, a very strong bond with the people of Alabasta, and seeing this is actually really good. Like Vivi is one of those people that's able to fit in with a lot of people, and like she's a people's person, you know what I mean? She's a people's person. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. Other than that, the backstory was good. Like some parts are kind of boring, but as a whole, like I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like it was great.
Yeah, like really impactful towards Vivi's character and whatnot. And adding to the Nico Robin stuff, yeah, I do agree with the whole, you know, like her showing up at the Straw Hat. Like, she just popped in out of nowhere, and then she's like, you know what, I have nowhere else to go, I might as well hop in. And it's kind of interesting because we saw some like we saw some unseen extra like flashback footage of her and at like the destruction of the tower and whatnot. And that was fascinating right there, and seeing Robin's devil fruit as well. That was very, like, we'd never seen any devil fruit like it, and that seems kind of OP, low-key, because it can just go for any human or whatever, just grow body limbs or whatever, and just, like, stop themselves without even having her to do much work, just using her mind. It's kind of like telekinesis in a way, but whatever. So, guys, that's just been basically all of our favorite moments from Alabasta arc, which is like 92 to 130. And just letting you know, guys, we didn't really include the Little Garden or Drum Island stuff because there weren't really as many impactful moments there. But if I had to pick one from like both those, or had to pick one that maybe made it on this list, it would probably be Chopper's backstory, which is just really saddening and stuff. But yeah, I'd like to thank my very special guest, Dr. Blick, for joining me on this. Really, like, if I had did this alone, it wouldn't be as fun, but it was fun to bring somebody along, so, yeah.
No problem, man.
Yeah, and what do you guys think of some of your favorite moments from the Alabasta arc of One Piece? Because this is probably, so far, it's my favorite arc. Well, I'm watching Skypiea right now, and it's getting better and better, so, yeah. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Ninja, out. Peace, everybody.